Welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to dive deep into the fascinating history and the incredible market value of one of the most talked about coins in American numismatic history, the 1974 S Mint Mark Lincoln 1-cent penny coin. This little piece of copper has captured the imagination of collectors all around the world, not only for its beauty and heritage, but also because of the astonishing value it can command in today's market, reaching a current worth of $760,000. That is right, a single penny that was once used for everyday transactions could now change someone's life forever. To understand the story of the 1974 S penny, we must first step back in time and look at the long legacy of the Lincoln cent. The Lincoln penny was first introduced in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of the birth of President Abraham Lincoln. It was designed by Victor David Brenner, and it quickly became one of the most beloved and widely recognized coins in the United States. The obverse, or the front of the coin, features the familiar profile of President Lincoln, while the reverse during its first 50 years showed two wheat ears, which is why those early coins are called wheat pennies. By 1959, the reverse design changed to feature the Lincoln Memorial, and that design lasted until 2008, when the series shifted again to the Lincoln Bicentennial pennies and eventually to the shield reverse. But in the year 1974, America was at a turning point, economically and politically, and the humble penny played a role in reflecting those times. The 1970s were marked by rising inflation and growing concern over the cost of minting coins. The penny had been struck primarily in copper for decades, but as copper prices rose dramatically in the early 1970s, the United States Mint began experimenting with different compositions. In 1974, the Mint produced a number of experimental Lincoln cents struck in aluminum rather than the traditional copper. This is where the history of the 1974 penny becomes truly fascinating. The 1974 aluminum cents were never intended for general circulation. They were test strikes meant to help the government determine if aluminum could replace copper as the main metal for the 1-cent coin. About 1.5 million aluminum cents were struck primarily at the Philadelphia Mint, and some were distributed to members of Congress and Treasury officials for evaluation. However, the plan was quickly abandoned when both the medical community and the vending machine industry raised concerns aluminum pennies could be harmful if swallowed, and they would not function properly in many coin-operated machines. Most of the experimental 1974 aluminum cents were recalled and melted down, but a handful escaped into private hands. These surviving examples became some of the rarest and most controversial coins in American history. But our story today focuses not on the aluminum cent but on the 1974 S Mint Mark Lincoln penny struck in copper at the San Francisco Mint. The San Francisco Mint had become well known for producing proof coins during this period. Proof coins are specially struck coins intended not for circulation but for collectors. They are made using specially polished dies and planchets which give them a mirror-like finish and sharp details. The 1974 S proof pennies were among the finest quality cents of their time, but within that mintage, certain rare varieties and highly graded specimens have soared in value. The 1974 S penny is important because of its connection to this era of transition and experimentation. While most were made of copper, a tiny percentage were struck in a way that sets them apart. Their rarity and pristine condition have made them extremely valuable to collectors today. The finest known examples of the 1974 S penny in perfect proof condition, graded PR 70 by professional grading services, can fetch staggering amounts at auction, with record sales climbing as high as $760,000. Now you might be asking, why would someone pay that kind of money for a penny? The answer lies in rarity, condition, historical significance, and collector demand. The world of coin collecting values coins not for their face value but for how unusual and well preserved they are. In the case of the 1974 S penny, it is the perfect storm of rarity and quality that has driven its price to the stratosphere. Let us talk a little about the San Francisco Mint itself. By the 1970s, San Francisco had become the hub for proof coin production. Proof sets from this era are highly prized by collectors today, but most proof coins, while beautiful, are not considered rare. That is why the 1974 S penny stands out so much. Only a few have reached the top grade of PR 70 deep cameo, and it is these ultra gems that command life-changing sums at auction. When we break down the market value of the 1974 S penny, we see that lower grade proof examples might sell for anywhere from a few dollars to a few $100. depending on condition and demand, but when you reach the absolute finest quality, the price leaps exponentially. In 2019, one such example sold for hundreds of thousands, and in recent years that number has pushed toward $750,000. This is why collectors and investors alike are fascinated by this coin, but beyond the money, there is something even more powerful about holding a coin like this in your hand. Think about it, a tiny piece of copper, only 1 cent in value, struck over 50 years ago, has now become a symbol of history, economics, art, and human passion. Coins like the 1974 penny are tangible links to the past. They tell the story of America in the 1970s, a time of change, uncertainty, and innovation. Imagine the day in 1974 when a worker at the San Francisco Mint struck one of these proof pennies. They probably never thought twice about it. To them, it was just another coin in another day of work. Yet decades later, that same coin could be worth more than a luxury home, more than most people make in their lifetime. That is the magic of numismatics. The ordinary becomes extraordinary when viewed through the lens of history, rarity, and preservation. As collectors continue to seek out the finest examples of the 1974 penny, the value is likely to remain strong. Some experts even predict that as more people enter the hobby, and as fewer top-quality coins remain available, the price could climb even higher than the current record. Who knows, perhaps in the coming decade we may see a 1974 penny cross the $1 million threshold. For those of you watching who are curious about whether you might have one of these coins, here is what you need to know. The 1974 penny will bear the S mint mark just below the date on the obverse side of the coin, which is just below President Lincoln's portrait. Proof examples will have an almost mirror-like shine and crisp, sharp details. If you think you have one, do not rush to sell it. Instead, consider having it authenticated and graded by a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC, because the difference between a common proof penny worth a few dollars and a top-grade proof penny worth hundreds of thousands is all about condition and certification. So to recap, the 1974 mint mark Lincoln penny coin carries with it a remarkable story. It was struck during a period of experimentation when the United States Mint was considering moving away from copper to aluminum. Its proof version, struck in San Francisco, became symbols of perfection and rarity, and today the very finest examples have achieved legendary status in the world of coin collecting, with market values reaching as high as $760,000. This is a reminder that coins are more than money. They are history preserved in metal. They are art struck into copper. They are a reflection of the economy and the politics of their time, and sometimes they are a ticket to wealth beyond imagination. As we close this deep dive into the history and value of the 1974 penny, I want you to think about the change rattling around in your pocket right now. Could one of those coins be hiding a secret? Could it be the next treasure worth a fortune? That is the excitement that keeps collectors searching and keeps the stories of coins like the 1974 Lincoln penny alive for generations. Thank you for joining me on this journey into the fascinating world of rare coins. If you enjoyed learning about the 1974 penny, make sure to stay tuned for more stories of coins that are worth much more than their face value. Remember, every coin has a story, and sometimes that story is worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. Welcome back to our channel. Today we are going to take a deep and detailed journey into the story of the 1980 no mint mark Lincoln 1-cent penny coin, a coin that at first glance may appear to be just an ordinary piece of pocket change, but in reality it has a rich history and an incredible current market value that has stunned collectors all around the world, valued as high as $690,000. This is one of those coins that can change someone's life if discovered in circulation or tucked away in a collection. To understand the true significance of the 1980 no mint mark penny, we first need to step back and look at the history of the Lincoln cent itself. The Lincoln penny was first introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th birthday of President Abraham Lincoln. It replaced the Indian head cent that had been in circulation since 1859. The Lincoln design, created by Victor David Brenner, was historic because it was the very first United States coin to feature the image of a real historical person rather than the symbolic figures of liberty or allegorical designs that had been used before. Brenner placed the iconic portrait of Lincoln on the obverse and originally his initials VDB on the reverse. Over time, the Lincoln cent saw changes in its design and composition. In 1959, the reverse design was updated to feature the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C. to honor the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth, and this design remained in use until 2008. Throughout those years the penny was minted at different United States mint facilities including Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Each coin bore a mint mark except those made in Philadelphia, which traditionally did not carry a mint mark, so a penny with no mint mark typically meant that it was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. By the time we reached 1980, the Lincoln cent had been in circulation for more than 70 years and millions upon millions of them had been struck. The 1980 pennies were primarily composed of 95% copper and 5% zinc. The switch to a copper-plated zinc core would not happen until 1982, so the 1980 penny still has that solid copper feel and weight. Collectors love to hold one because it has that heavy, dense sound compared to the later zinc coins. Now let us focus on what makes the 1980 no mint mark penny so intriguing. Coins from Philadelphia did not bear a mint mark in that era, so technically all 1980 no mint mark pennies came from Philadelphia. However, among these coins, certain examples have stood out with extraordinary qualities, errors, striking variations, and pristine conditions that drive their value into the hundreds of thousands of dollars. Most people would never suspect that a coin worth just 1 cent could carry a price tag close to $700,000, but that is the astonishing reality of rare numismatics. One of the main reasons a 1980 penny can be so valuable is its condition. Coins are graded on a scale from poor to perfect mint state, and those that are in nearly flawless condition with no scratches, no wear, and full original luster can command enormous sums at auction. These are known as mint state coins, or sometimes designated as red examples when their copper surface retains the original fiery red tone. Collectors pay extreme premiums for these because they are so rare to find untouched after more than 4 decades. Beyond condition, error coins are another factor that elevate the 1980 no mint mark penny into legendary status. Minting errors can occur when something goes wrong in the striking process. Examples include off-center strikes, double dies, broad strikes, or coins struck on the wrong planchet. Some 1980 pennies have been discovered with dramatic double die errors where the lettering or date shows a clear doubling effect. These rare mistakes transform a regular penny into a collector's dream piece, with prices soaring to hundreds of thousands of dollars when they appear at major auctions. Imagine finding a penny in your pocket that shows unusual features like misaligned letters, thicker than usual date digits, or even a planchet that looks different from normal copper. Such tiny details can be the difference between a coin worth 1 cent and a life-changing jackpot of hundreds of thousands of dollars. Stories circulate in the numismatic community about individuals who cashed in on such discoveries, and those tales inspire thousands of people to keep checking their change each and every day. The current market value of a 1980 no mint mark Lincoln cent in pristine condition or with dramatic errors is estimated as high as $690,000. This number is based on reported auction sales and expert evaluations by professional grading services. High-grade coins, especially those certified by institutions like PCGS or NGC, carry the strongest values because buyers trust the authenticity and condition assigned by these graders. Without such certification, prices can vary, but with certification, the market knows exactly what it is buying and selling. What is even more fascinating is how common these coins once were. Millions were minted and circulated across the country in 1980, yet only a handful survive in the type of perfect mint state condition that collectors crave. That is what makes them so rare. It is not that they were never minted, it is that most of them were used, worn down, scratched, and damaged through everyday transactions. Finding one in untouched, pristine form is like finding a time capsule from the past, a coin that looks exactly as it did the day it left the mint more than 4 decades ago. Collectors who specialize in Lincoln cents often dedicate entire albums to the series, and the 1980 penny holds a special place in their hearts. While it may not seem like a key date compared to some earlier rarities like the 1909 SVDB or the 1914D, the 1980 penny has proven that modern coins can also reach astronomical values under the right circumstances. This has led to renewed interest in searching through pocket change jars, coin rolls from banks, and family coin collections. People hope that lightning might strike and they might come across one of these rare gems. The broader lesson of the 1980 penny is that value in numismatics comes from rarity, demand, and condition. Coins that combine those 3 factors achieve legendary status, and the 1980 no mint mark penny is a prime example of this phenomenon. It reminds us that history is not just written in books, it is Also struck into metal small objects that pass from hand to hand carrying stories of presidents, wars, economies, and generations of everyday life today. With online marketplaces and auction houses, it is easier than ever for collectors to buy, sell, and evaluate coins. High-grade 1980 no-mint mark pennies have been featured in auctions that drew global attention. Their soaring prices leave many in disbelief and spark new waves of excitement across the coin collecting world. For many collectors, it is not just about the money, it is also about holding a tangible piece of history in their hands. As we continue this deep dive into the story of the 1980 penny, think about how many of these coins you might have handled in your own life. Perhaps you dropped one into a vending machine as a child, perhaps your parents saved rolls of pennies without ever realizing the hidden treasures they might contain. The idea that a coin with no mint mark, minted in Philadelphia, could be worth $690,000 today is a reminder that value often hides in plain sight. The next time you come across a penny, take a closer look, check the date, check the details, inspect the condition. You never know when you might stumble upon something extraordinary. Coin collecting is about curiosity, patience, and a keen eye, and it rewards those who are willing to pay attention to the smallest details. So to recap, the 1980 no mint mark Lincoln 1-cent penny is a coin born from a long history of the Lincoln cent. First introduced in 1909, struck in copper in 1980 at the Philadelphia Mint with no mint mark. Like all Philadelphia coins of that time, while millions were made, only a select few survived in gem condition or with dramatic minting errors, and those are the ones that today command market values soaring up to $690,000. If you enjoyed this journey through numismatic history, make sure to share this story with others. Coin collecting is one of those hobbies that connects generations and creates opportunities to learn about history, money, and even the economy through tiny but powerful artifacts. A penny may be small, but the story behind it is massive, and the fortune it could bring is life-changing. Keep searching, keep collecting, and keep believing that the next coin you find might just be the one that changes everything. Welcome back to the channel, coin collectors, treasure hunters, and history lovers. Today we are diving deep into the world of one of the most fascinating coins in United States history, the 1982 no-mint mark Lincoln 1-cent penny coin. A coin that on the surface looks ordinary, just like any other penny you might find in your pocket change, but as you will soon discover, this coin carries with it an incredible story, a mix of history, transition, mystery, and value that has stunned collectors for decades. The current market value of this rare coin has even been recorded as high as $670,000, making it one of the most sought-after Lincoln pennies in existence. To understand why the 1982 no-mint mark penny is so special, we need to travel back in time and set the stage. The year was 1982, a year of great change for the Lincoln cent. Since 1909, the Lincoln cent had been minted primarily in bronze and alloy, consisting of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc. However, by the early 1980s, rising copper prices meant that the metal content of each penny was actually worth more than 1 cent. In fact, the value of the copper in a single bronze penny was approaching nearly 2 cents, making it financially unsustainable for the U.S. Mint to continue producing them at a loss. In response, the United States Mint decided to switch the composition of the penny in 1982 from the traditional bronze alloy to a new copper-plated zinc composition. The new pennies consisted of a core made of 97.5% zinc with a thin copper plating making up 2.5% on the surface. This change reduced the cost of production dramatically, but it also led to one of the most complex years in penny collecting history because both compositions were minted during 1982, creating a wide variety of Lincoln cent varieties. In fact, 1982 is known for having 7 different recognized varieties of the Lincoln cent. First, there are the small date and large date designs, which were produced at both the Philadelphia Mint and the Denver Mint. Second, there are coins struck in both bronze and zinc, giving collectors multiple combinations: the small date bronze, the large date bronze, the small date zinc, the large date zinc with and without the D mint mark from Denver. And then there is the elusive no mint mark variety from Philadelphia. Now here is where the story of the 1982 no mint mark penny becomes truly fascinating. Unlike Denver coins, which carry a D mint mark, pennies produced at the Philadelphia Mint traditionally carry no mint mark at all, so technically every Philadelphia 1982 penny is a no mint mark coin. However, what sets apart the rarest examples is not just the absence of a mint mark, but their metal composition, size of the date, and unique striking features. In particular, the bronze small date 1982 no mint mark penny stands out as one of the rarest and most valuable coins ever struck to the naked eye. The differences between small date and large Date might seem minor, but to collectors it makes all the difference. On a large date coin, the top of the 2 in 1982 sits higher and lines up with the 8. The curves of the numbers are also thicker and bolder, while on the small date variety the 2 is slightly lower, and the overall style of the numbers is more delicate. Spotting this detail can mean the difference between having a penny worth just 1 cent and a penny worth thousands upon thousands of dollars. What makes the 1982 no mint mark bronze small date penny so valuable is its extreme rarity. While millions of 1982 cents were minted across all varieties, the small date bronze from Philadelphia has appeared in only a handful of verified examples. Many experts believe that only a few dozen might still exist today. Some reports suggest that the switch from bronze to zinc was not uniform across all facilities and that a small batch of bronze planchets may have been accidentally used in Philadelphia after the official transition, leading to this rare combination coin. Imagine holding one of these coins in your hand, a simple penny that looks like any other, but with the right composition and the right date style it transforms into a treasure worth over $500,000. It is stories like this that fuel the passion of coin collectors everywhere and keep us searching through jars of change, inherited coin rolls, and even pocket finds, because history has proven again and again that treasures can still be discovered in the most unexpected places. Now let us break down the values and market trends for this remarkable coin. When found in circulated condition, even a 1982 no mint mark bronze small date penny can be worth several hundred to several $1,000s depending on the grade, but in uncirculated condition with sharp details, original luster, and no major flaws, the value skyrockets. Collectors have paid tens of thousands for high quality examples, and one record sale reached as high as $670,000, making it one of the most valuable modern-era Lincoln cents ever sold at auction. Of course, not every 1982 penny without a mint mark is valuable, so it is crucial to know how to identify the true rarity. First, check the weight. A standard bronze 1982 penny should weigh about 3.1 grams, while a zinc penny weighs about 2.5 grams. A simple digital scale can reveal the difference instantly. Second, check the date style. Is it a small date or a large date? Remember that on the small date the 2 is slightly lower and more delicate, and the 8 appears more rounded. Third, confirm that the coin has no mint mark. Since Philadelphia coins bear no mint mark, but only specific combinations have real value when all 3 conditions are met: bronze composition, small date style, and no mint mark, then you may very well be holding one of the rarest Lincoln cents in existence. Collectors also value the coin based on condition, grades, and professional certification. Grading companies such as PCGS and NGC play a critical role in establishing authenticity and market value. When a rare coin like the 1982 no mint mark bronze small date penny is submitted to a grading service, it is carefully analyzed, weighed, authenticated, and encapsulated in a protective holder. This process not only secures the coin but also gives confidence to buyers and sellers alike, allowing it to fetch its true value at auction. Over the decades, this coin has become a symbol of the excitement of coin collecting. It reminds us that treasures are not always buried deep underground. Sometimes they are sitting right in front of us, hiding in plain sight, just waiting for someone with knowledge, patience, and a keen eye to uncover them. The 1982 penny story also teaches us about the broader history of American money, how economic factors such as the rising cost of copper forced the government to adapt and innovate, and how those changes sometimes created unexpected rarities that today are worth a fortune. Beyond the value and rarity, there is also a human element to this story. Think of the workers at the mint in 1982 who were transitioning machines, adjusting compositions, and striking billions of coins. Little did they know that a handful of pennies produced during this time would one day become legendary, worth more than many people earn in a lifetime. And think of the collectors who dedicate countless hours to studying varieties, searching coin rolls, attending shows, and bidding at auctions. Their passion drives the entire hobby and keeps stories like this alive. So, as we look at the 1982 no mint mark Lincoln penny with its fascinating mix of history, rarity, and immense value, we are reminded of why coin collecting has captured the hearts of millions of people around the world. It is not just about money, it is about history, discovery, and the thrill of the hunt. It is about the possibility that the next great treasure could be sitting right there in your change jar. If you are listening to this and wondering what you should do, check your pennies, check the dates, look closely for small date versus large date, weigh the coin carefully, and never assume that a penny is worthless. You might just find yourself holding a piece of history, a coin that could change your life. The 1982 no mint mark bronze small date Lincoln penny is not just a coin, it is a legend. It is proof that even in the modern era true rarities can exist, and that the humble penny, often overlooked and discarded, still has the power to amaze, inspire, and enrich those who take the time to pay attention. And with that, we conclude today's deep dive into the incredible story of the 1982 no mint mark Lincoln 1-cent penny coin, a story of transition, mystery, rarity, and fortune. Remember, the next time you see a penny lying on the ground or resting in your pocket, do not ignore it, because history has shown us that sometimes a penny is worth far more than just 1 cent. Sometimes it is worth hundreds of thousands. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey into the world of rare coins. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this story with other collectors and treasure hunters who might be inspired to start looking more closely at their change. You never know, the next great discovery might be just around the corner. Stay curious, stay passionate, and keep searching, because treasures are still out there waiting to be found. The year 2000 may not feel so long ago, but in the world of coin collecting it has already become an important milestone, especially when we talk about the Lincoln 1-cent penny that carries the D mint mark from Denver. At first glance, most people look at this small copper-colored coin and dismiss it as just a regular penny with very little value. They see it in their pocket change and spend it without a second thought. But for collectors and historians, this particular coin has a surprising story and an even more surprising value. Believe it or not, certain examples of the 2000 D Lincoln cent have reached a current market value of up to $42,000, making it one of the most talked about modern-era pennies in recent years. To understand why this coin holds such a remarkable place in the world of numismatics, we need to go back to the history of the Lincoln cent itself. The design of the Lincoln penny first appeared in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. Sculptor Victor David Brenner created the design with Lincoln's profile on the obverse side. This was the first time that a United States coin featured a real person's portrait. The penny quickly became one of the most widely circulated coins in America, and over time it evolved with different reverse designs while still maintaining the iconic image of Lincoln on the front. By the year 2000, the Lincoln cent had already been in production for more than 90 years. The design on the reverse side was still the Lincoln Memorial, which had been used since 1959 to mark the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. Millions upon millions of pennies were struck every year at the United States Mint facilities, including the Denver Mint, which is represented by the D Mint mark. Because so many were produced, people often assume that all coins from this era are common and worthless beyond face value. However, the reality is that condition, rarity, and certain minting errors can completely transform an ordinary-looking coin into a valuable treasure. The 2000 D Lincoln penny is a perfect example of this. While the majority of these coins remain only worth 1 cent, collectors discovered that certain high-grade examples in mint state condition could sell for extraordinary sums of money. Coins graded at the highest levels by professional grading services such as PCGS or NGC have shocked the numismatic community by fetching values as high as $42,000. The reason lies in their combination of pristine condition and strong demand from collectors who are eager to own the very finest examples of each date and mint mark. Now let us take a deeper look at why condition matters so much in the coin market. Every coin that comes out of the mint carries small details in its design. Over time and with circulation, those details wear down. The luster fades, the edges get nicked, and scratches develop. A penny that has been in circulation for 20 years is usually covered in marks and dull surfaces. But a small percentage of coins are carefully preserved or set aside right after minting. These coins can retain their full mint luster and sharp details. When submitted to grading companies, they can earn grades of mint state 67, mint state 68, or even higher. Because so few coins survive in such flawless condition, the market assigns huge premiums to them. In the case of the 2000 D penny, some of the highest graded pieces have become true rarities. Collectors who compete in registry sets, which are competitive collections ranked online, are willing to pay extreme prices to secure the best known example. This competition drives the value upward. So while an average circulated 2000 D penny is only worth a cent, the finest known examples can be worth tens of thousands. That is why the current market value for the very best specimens has reached $42,000. It is also worth noting that the year 2000 brought a surge of interest in modern coins. Many collectors who grew up with Lincoln cents began to appreciate the history behind them. The Denver Mint had been producing coins since the early 20th century, and its D-Mint mark symbolized not only a location but also a connection to American history. For those who seek to own a complete collection of Lincoln cents from every year and every mint, the 2000D is an essential piece. Having one in superb condition is like holding a time capsule from the turn of the millennium. Another aspect that makes the 2000D penny valuable is the possibility of minting errors. The mint produces billions of coins each year and mistakes can happen. Double dies, off-center strikes, and other unusual varieties are sometimes discovered. When an error appears on a 2000D penny, it immediately draws attention. Even minor doubling or striking errors can boost the value significantly. In some cases, collectors have paid thousands for rare error varieties. This adds another layer of excitement for people searching through their pocket change or coin rolls hoping to stumble upon a treasure. Now imagine finding one of these coins in your collection. Most people do not take the time to look closely at their pennies, but the truth is that a single coin could change your financial situation if it turns out to be rare and in high grade. That is why coin collecting is often described as a hobby where history and treasure hunting come together. Every time you examine a coin, you are not only holding a piece of the nation's past but also a potential fortune. The story of the 2000D Lincoln penny also reminds us of how small details can make a huge difference. Something as simple as the shine of the surface or the sharpness of Lincoln's hairlines can mean the difference between a coin worth a cent and a coin worth $42,000. For collectors and investors alike, this is a powerful lesson in the importance of condition, rarity, and timing. Over the past 2 decades, prices for high-grade modern coins have risen steadily. Many people once believed that only older coins like those from the 19th century could reach high values. But the 2000D penny proves that even coins from the recent past can become highly desirable. This has inspired a new generation of collectors to look more carefully at the coins in their possession. So how can someone determine if their 2000D penny is valuable? The first step is to carefully inspect the coin. Look at the surfaces under good lighting. If the coin appears flawless with strong luster and no visible scratches, it may be worth sending to a professional grading service. Next, check for any unusual characteristics such as doubling or misstrikes. Finally, research recent auction results to see what similar coins have sold for. If you happen to own a top-grade example, you could be holding a coin worth tens of thousands of dollars. Even if your coin is not among the finest known, it can still be worth more than face value if it is in uncirculated condition. Many collectors pay small premiums for nice examples of the 2000D penny simply to add to their collections. This means that almost any well-preserved coin is worth setting aside rather than spending. The legacy of the Lincoln cent continues to grow with each passing year. From its debut in 1909 to the year 2000 and beyond, it has become more than just a coin. It is a symbol of American history, a tribute to Abraham Lincoln, and a reminder that treasures can hide in plain sight. The 2000D penny in particular has proven that even modern coins can achieve legendary status. In conclusion, the humble penny that many people overlook can carry extraordinary value when preserved in the right condition. The 2000D Lincoln cent is one of those coins that has captured the imagination of collectors and investors alike. With a current market value reaching $42,000 for the very best examples, it stands as a powerful example of why coin collecting remains one of the most fascinating hobbies in the world. So next time you come across a penny from the year 2000 with a small D mint mark beneath the date, take a closer look. You might just be holding a piece of history and a fortune in the palm of your hand. Welcome to today's video, where we are going to take a deep dive into one of the most fascinating coins in United States history, the 2002 no mint mark Lincoln 1-cent penny coin. At first glance, it may look like an ordinary copper-colored penny that you see every day in your change jar or pocket, but the truth is that this particular coin has become the focus of intense interest among collectors, historians, and investors alike. The 2002 no mint mark penny has a story that is far more than just metal and design. It is a story that connects to over a century of tradition, the life and memory of Abraham Lincoln, and the mysteries of minting errors that make ordinary coins worth extraordinary amounts of money. The Lincoln 1-cent coin was first introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of the birth of Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States. At the time, this was groundbreaking because Lincoln was the very first real person ever to be placed on a regular circulation United States coin. The design was created by Victor David Brenner, whose initials VDB appear on some of the earliest coins, and over time the Lincoln penny has become not only a symbol of everyday commerce, but also one of the most collected coins in American history. The design has changed slightly over the years, but Lincoln's portrait has remained on the obverse or front side for well over a century, making it one of the longest-running coin portraits in the world. Now let us move forward to the year 2002. By then, the Lincoln penny had already gone through many decades of circulation changes, from wheat reverse designs in the early and mid-20th century to the memorial reverse design, which began in 1959 to honor the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C. In 2002, the memorial design was still in place, and these pennies were being struck at several United States mint facilities, most notably Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Usually coins from Philadelphia carry no mint mark, which is a long-standing tradition, while coins from Denver carry a D mint mark and proof coins from San Francisco carry an S mint mark. However, when we talk about the 2002 no mint mark Lincoln penny, we are not just talking about a regular Philadelphia strike coin. Instead, we are talking about an unusual specimen, a coin that has been identified by collectors as extremely valuable because of certain qualities that make it unlike the ordinary billions of coins struck for circulation. What makes this coin so special is the combination of rarity, error, and condition. Imagine billions of coins being minted in giant presses, yet a small fraction escape the minting process with unique traits. Those traits can turn a 1-cent piece into a treasure worth thousands or even hundreds of thousands of dollars. The first thing collectors look for in these 2002 no mint mark pennies is striking clarity. Some of these coins were minted with a very strong strike that shows every tiny detail of Lincoln's hair, his bow tie, the lettering, and the memorial on the reverse. Coins like this that remain in mint state condition can already be worth much more than face value. But there are also error varieties from 2002 that make them even more extraordinary. For example, some no mint mark pennies from this year have been reported with doubled dies, where the letters and words like Liberty or In God We Trust appear doubled to the naked eye. Others have off-center strikes, clipped planchets, or striking errors that make them instantly stand out from the rest. When such coins are preserved in top condition, graded by professional services, and recognized as error coins, they can command jaw-dropping prices at auctions. This is exactly why the 2002 no mint mark Lincoln penny has gained a reputation as a coin that could be worth up to $670,000 depending on the condition, the rarity of the error, and the intensity of bidding wars among collectors. Imagine turning over your pocket change one day and realizing that you are holding a tiny copper coin that could pay off your house or buy a luxury car. That is the magic of coin collecting. Let us also consider the history of the penny itself during this time. By 2002, the United States Mint was producing pennies primarily from a zinc core with a thin copper plating. This change had occurred back in 1982 due to rising copper prices. Earlier pennies had been made mostly of copper, but from 1982 onward the penny was actually 97.5% zinc and only 2.5% copper. Even though the coin looked the same, the composition had changed dramatically. This means that the 2002 penny was part of that modern generation of copper-plated zinc coins. However, despite being common, the rarity of certain varieties and errors created a market where collectors were willing to pay life-changing sums of money for unique examples. Now let us take a closer look at why no mint mark pennies are so significant. In the past, coins without mint marks were often simply identified as Philadelphia coins. However, over time, certain no mint mark coins became legendary. For example, the 1922 no D Lincoln penny became famous because it was actually minted in Denver, but due to a die polishing error, the D mint mark disappeared. This created a highly collectible coin that is now worth thousands. In a similar way, any modern no mint mark penny that carries unusual errors or features becomes instantly desirable. The 2002 no-mint mark penny has followed this tradition and earned its place among valuable rarities. Another factor that increases value is grade. Professional grading companies such as PCGS and NGC evaluate coins on a scale from 1 to 70, where 70 represents a perfect coin with no visible flaws under magnification. A regular circulated 2002 penny might be worth just 1 cent, but a flawless mint state example, especially with a unique error, can skyrocket to hundreds of thousands of dollars. Collectors compete for these top-graded coins because the population is so low, and owning one is like owning a piece of treasure history that few others can ever hope to possess. Auction records reveal the incredible demand for these coins. In several cases, coins from the early 2000s have stunned experts by reaching values that seemed unimaginable. For the 2002 no-mint mark penny, a reported sale reached $670,000, sending shockwaves through the numismatic community. Such a high price reflects not just the rarity of the coin but also the passion of the collector who wanted to own it at any cost. Stories like this inspire everyday people to check their pocket change more carefully because the next valuable coin could be hiding in plain sight. To truly appreciate this coin, one must also understand the culture of coin collecting. Coin collecting, often called the hobby of kings, has attracted people for centuries. From ancient Roman emperors to modern-day hobbyists, the allure of holding history in your hand is universal. Each coin tells a story not only of its design but of the economy, politics, and artistry of its time. The Lincoln penny, especially the no-mint mark rarities, ties us directly to the legacy of Abraham Lincoln, whose leadership preserved the Union during its most difficult years. Holding a Lincoln penny is like holding a small tribute to freedom, equality, and perseverance. Now let us discuss what collectors today should look for when examining a 2002 penny. Start by checking the condition. If the coin is shiny with no scratches and full luster, it may be worth saving. Next, look closely at the lettering with a magnifying glass. Are there any signs of doubling in the words Liberty or In God We Trust? Does the date show any unusual spread? Also inspect the edges to see if the coin has any clipping or misalignment. Sometimes even a small error can make a big difference in value. If you suspect you have something unusual, consider sending it to a grading service. The small fee you pay for professional evaluation could be nothing compared to the fortune you gain if it turns out to be a valuable specimen. Another key factor is the story that surrounds these coins. Whenever a rare coin is discovered and sold for a massive amount, the story itself becomes part of its legend. News spreads across coin forums, newspapers, and auction catalogs, and suddenly that year or variety becomes highly desirable. The 2002 no-mint mark penny is a perfect example of this phenomenon. Its discovery and record-breaking value have transformed it from a simple piece of change into an icon of modern coin collecting. As we move toward the conclusion, let us reflect on what makes a penny worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. It is not just the metal or the face value, but the rarity, the eras, the condition, and the demand among collectors. A coin like this combines all of those elements into one tiny disc of history. For the lucky person who finds or owns one, the 2002 no-mint mark Lincoln penny represents not just money but a story, a legacy, and a symbol of how little things can hold enormous value. So next time you receive a penny in your change, take a moment to look at it. Check the date, examine the mint mark or lack of one, and consider the possibility that you may be holding a treasure. Who knows, perhaps you could be the next person to discover a coin worth $670,000. That is the excitement and mystery of coin collecting, and it is why this hobby continues to grow year after year. Thank you for joining me on this detailed journey into the history, the rarity, and the value of the 2002 no-mint mark Lincoln 1-cent penny. If you enjoyed learning about this incredible coin, make sure to subscribe, like, and share this video so more people can discover the fascinating world of coins. Keep your eyes open, your change jars full, and your curiosity alive, because history is all around us, sometimes even in the smallest coin at the bottom of your pocket.